I mean, really happy for our guys. It's been a long time since they've played in the Sweet 16 year, so these guys have really bought into playing the right way. And I think, defensively we've been one of the top 5 teams in the country, all year. But the offense was bound to come. So I just told them after the first game, let's just lose ourselves in the game, lose ourselves in the blue collar stuff and the defensive stuff. I reached out to Coach Patino after the Iona game. I actually talked to him this afternoon. I wanted to get his thoughts on us. He told me the same thing. He said every Louisville, Kentucky team he had, the hardest game was the first one. He referenced the San Jose State game when they were a 36-point favorite, and it was a 1-point game at the half. And, he just told his guys they got enough talent that it's going to come just focus on defense. It's been what I'd been telling our guys, but I told them, Coach Patino said the same thing. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach, won a couple national championships. I think he knows what he's doing. So I just said, let's do that. You look, and Petty, won the blue collar last game. He's playing really hard. He's just way too talented to not have a good game here pretty quick. So he led the team plus minus with 19. He had 20 points, shot 4-9 from 3. Shaq had 21, 5-8 from 3. So can't say enough about those guys. Quinterly comes off the bench and has 9 assists in the first half, ends the game with 14 and 11. So, a lot of guys stepped up. In the SEC Player of the Year, Herb only, has 6 points and 6 rebounds in 17 minutes and can't stay out of foul trouble, and we were still able to do what we did. So, that just kind of shows what everybody else had going today. So.
Okay, thank you for that, Coach. Now we'll go to questions from the media. Remember, you can use the raise hand function to indicate if you want to ask a question. And our first one will come from Michael Casagrande with AL.com. Michael, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, Nate, it looked like you guys quite an emotional release at the end, or when Petty hit those 2 threes right in a row, right in front of the bench. Looked like you almost gave him a hug or a high five when he was running by. What was that moment like to have that, to see him go through those struggles and then make those shots?
I mean, I just been talking to him. I think he's just been all about the right stuff for the majority of the year, these last 2-3 months, and he deserved to play better than what he had played, and I think he was putting a lot of pressure on himself, and I just felt like he could use a shot to go through, a couple back-to-back, it was huge. I was happy for him and excited for him, and, hopefully this gets him on a roll here. So he's been playing super hard. He just, for whatever reason, he wasn't making shots. So he's making shots now. That's the John Petty we all know. So it's good to have him back.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Next, we'll go to Drew Carter with CBS 42. Drew, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, Nate, you guys give yourself another week in the bubble there in Indianapolis. What do you think about spending another week in the quote-unquote controlled environment? How you planning to spend the time?
We got to figure out something to do to spend our time. I told the guys, most mentally tough team may come out of this thing, so we're going to get out. I got out and enjoyed the outdoors a little bit today, man. Before today, I'd been here a week. I'd been outside one time, outside of getting on a bus and getting off, so we had a couple of the guys go out. Maybe we'll make it mandatory. Maybe we'll get a little softball game going. I don't know, something. They let us go over to Victory Field. That's nice. I'll tell you what, the food's been great. The first day was a little struggle. After that, it's been good. Our nutritionist, Amanda, has been great, supplementing but the hotel food's been good, and the meals we got there, and then she supplements it with some snacks and some other meals. And I put on like 10 pounds since I've been in the bubble, so I need to hurry up and get out of the bubble. Hopefully it's a couple more weeks, but I might need to start disciplining myself with the eating in the bubble and get a little bit more exercise, one of the two. But we'll figure out what to do with the players. We've got our academic coordinator Brittany with us. She'll be on them with some academic stuff, and we'll watch a lot of video. We'll get them in the gym, spend some time in the gym, and try to make sure their legs are fresh. They've been playing cards. I got to learn how to play spades. It's not like my card game of choice, but I think by the end of the week maybe I'll know how to play spades. But we'll probably do a little something other than that too.
Thanks for your question, Drew. Next, we'll go to Tyler Martin with Bama Central. Tyler, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, Coach. Primo made his return. Didn't really look like he missed a beat. 23 minutes, 10 points. How big was his return to the lineup for you guys tonight?
I thought he was huge. We needed big guards. They had those big guards that they post a lot, and he's 6'6", 200 pounds, athletic, and with length. I thought his minutes were huge for us. He had that. He's 2 of 4 from 3. He's been working too. He hadn't been able to go live in practice, but he's been shooting a lot, and he's a confident kid. He works hard. That tip dunk was what got me going, though. Showed his athleticism a little bit. So I think maybe that'll give him a little bit of confidence. He was all up on the rim on that, and they went to the zone, and he crashed, got to the old boards. We got really good kids, and he's as good a kid as it comes. So I was happy to see him play well in his first game back after that injury.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Our next question will come from Cecil Hurt with the Tuscaloosa News. Cecil, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Coach, could you give us an update on Jordan Brunner? Why couldn't he start? Why couldn't he really go tonight? Is it still the knees? Just didn't come around after the first game.
Yeah, he's not as athletic as he was before the knee surgeries, and they're starting Scott, who's essentially like a 3/4 at the 5. So it wasn't that he couldn't go. And me and him talked last night. He's a smart kid. He sat in my room and told me, Coach, I'm a, basketball mind, I think. He said, look, hey, we talked about the matchups. We thought Galen Smith would be a better matchup for him. Well, they only played Galen 4 minutes. So it was hard to get Brunner those minutes. We thought Reese and Brunner could match up when they had Galen in a little bit better. But, when Scott was in, we liked the Juwan Gary matchup a little bit more. So we changed it up. Charlie was in the NBA for 5 years. He talked about when the Golden State Warriors were rolling and they had starting lineup, they switched it for the finals. At this point, you do what you got to do to win the game. Brunner's a team guy. He's all about whatever it takes for the team to win. Obviously, he'd like to play a lot more minutes because he's a really good player, but we built this thing on getting stops and guarding, and we didn't think the matchup was good, and he got beat on the one blow-by there, because with the way they run their offense, there are a lot of 5 out, and there's a lot of switching that was going on with kind of their different actions. So it wasn't even just necessarily that one matchup either. It was get switched on to some of those guards where we felt like Juwan was a little bit more able to stay in front of those. So we played Juwan a lot. We played Herb at the 5 some. If he would have stayed out of foul trouble, he probably would have played a few more minutes at the 5. But we liked the matchup a little bit better.
Okay, thank you, Cecil. And next, we'll go to Joseph Goodman with AL.com. Joseph, you can unmute yourself to ask your question.
Congratulations, Nate. I'm wondering how someone could gain 10 pounds in the bubble. What's your favorite bubble snack? Thanks.
Oh, shoot. You have no idea. Amanda gets these guys smoothies every night. So she had them like a potbelly Oreo milkshake with a cookie. After I had a potbelly sub, it's literally like every 3 hours there's like a new meal popping up, and the staff does this little kind of fat loss, weight loss contest from like January till the week of the SEC tournament. So I go all in. We try not to get too out of shape during the year by doing this contest. So we weighed in that Monday before the SEC tournament, and I was down as low as I'd been since last year before the SEC tournament. So now I'm just putting it all back on in the bubble. So it's all bad right now. I gotta get myself back on some discipline here. But after we're done with the season, I'll get back on the discipline here. Right now I'm trying to lock in to watch some. Plus, when you're watching video late at night and there's just available snacks everywhere, I gotta be a little bit more disciplined. But right now, I'm just worried about watching video, making sure our team's ready to go, making sure they're in a good spot. I can get myself together later.
Next question from Tony Tsoukalis with Bama Insider. Tony, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, Nate, there was a time when Herb got his second foul, you guys had a 6-point deficit. You were able to kind of respond with like a 19-4 run. Just how big was that? You kind of seemed like you gained control after that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of weird that we made the run without Herb because he's such an integral part of what we do. But, I thought guys stepped up. Primo was good, Quinterly was good, Keon Ellis was good. We were able to do this without Herb in the game a lot. So, I think we went on two 19-4 runs. There was one in the first half. Then I think we opened the second half on a 19-4 run. So Herb was involved there for part of the second half. But even at that, he got his third foul fairly quick and had to come out. So, Quinterly's been playing well. I mean, shoot, our runs obviously were fueled by offense and defense both tonight. And when Quinterly was in, the offense was flowing. I mean, they couldn't stay in front of him. He got in the paint. 11 assists and 9 assists in the first half. He was a big part of that 19-4 run.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Time for just a couple of final questions. We will go to Drew DeArmond from WZZK. Drew, you can unmute yourself to ask your question.
Yes, Coach. I just wanted to ask you about Alex Reese once again. A lot of production off the bench. He was able to, once again shoot the three well. Gave you double figures, and talk about also just the bench as a whole. I mean, they played with a lot of energy, and I thought with the key against Maryland, you didn't have a lot of depth.
I thought Reese was great. I mean, he's been great both games. Shot 2 of 2 from 3. Last game, 3 of 5 now. He's 5 of 7 in the NCAA tournament. He showed up. We talked about it. We were 4 and 7 in 1 or 2 possession games last year. So we looked at every single, I think we picked 12 games. There was one more. The Kentucky game ended up being more than 2 possessions, but it was close. It was a 1 possession game with a minute, some change to go. So we looked at those 12 games, and one thing that kept recurring was Reese made big shots in some of those late games last year when we needed him to. So kind of our mindset, what I thought, Reese, steps up in some big moments. Well, I think he's stepping up in big moments now. And the NCAA tournament can be a little overwhelming for some people. It's obviously not for Reese. Thought at the end of games last year he was big for us. I think he's been big for us in the NCAA tournament. Really happy for him because I think his attitude's been great all year. I addressed that with the team because a couple guys didn't play very many minutes tonight that usually play a lot more minutes. Herb didn't get nearly as many minutes because of foul trouble. Brunner, Rojas. I said, Reese had a lot of games where he didn't play nearly as many minutes as he wanted during the year. He kept his attitude great all year, and look at what he's doing now when season's on the line in the NCAA tournament. He's playing his best basketball of his career, in my opinion. So really happy for Reese. He had 13 and 5 in 16 minutes and shoots 3 of 5 from 3. I mean, he's hit big those 2 threes he hit against Iona were huge. I mean, he's playing well for us.
Okay, and finally, we'll go to Steve Moulton with WZZK. Steve, you can unmute yourself to ask your question.
Coach, congratulations on the win. A couple of things, if I could. I did ask Herb after the first game how he'd grade that game. He said he'd give him a C. I do wonder what kind of grade you'd give your team this time in particular. And one other question I did have was about the technical foul to JQ. What kind of explanation did you get on that?
Well, he talked to the other kid. He hit the 3 and said something to the other kid. So JQ said the other kid said something to him first and started it. Well, typically it happens that the second guy always gets hit with the tee. The referees had warned us earlier in the game, no talking. And when you're in the NCAA tournament, everything's a little more on alert. All the officials are getting evaluated, all that. So we had explained to our guys before the tournament about it. We had to re-explain it to them early in the game when the referees warned us. And then so when it happened, the referees had warned us. I wasn't very happy with JQ. We're trying to win the game, and he puts him to the free throw line before the game was over. So I thought he played great. He just needs to be a little smarter and just beat him on the scoreboard. We don't have to talk when we beat him. Just beat him on the scoreboard and play well. So the first question, giving a grade to the game, I mean, look, defensively, we were a 1.17. I'm looking at the HDI box score right now, our analytics company, which was not where we needed to be. Our goal was like a 1.0. So defensively, I didn't think we were very good.